a lot more stuff. And, well, if you saw the last video, you'll know that what I brought to your attention, if you didn't already know, is that there's basically no Bitcoin left for the average retail trader. As I mentioned, 91% of all the Bitcoin that could ever be mined is already in the hands of whales who have 100 or more Bitcoins in a wallet. And effectively, that means it's in the hands of the people who don't need money. They already have a lot of money. So they don't need to sell their Bitcoin. They have other ways of being rich and having other means of revenue at their disposal, presumably. And even if they don't, on 100 Bitcoin, they can last a very long time, even at the current rates, right? Most people, at the current rates, that would be enough to live at least a comfortable middle-class life for 100 years or so. Of course, the price of the dollar, or the power of the dollar, keeps falling, so call it 50 years. So if anybody has any amount of ability to do any kind of work or generate any kind of revenue, that's a hell of a long runway for most people. And therefore, people who have 100 Bitcoin or more really don't need to work at this point, right? They can let their money work for them, put it in some, if they wanted to convert some of it to accounts that grow with interest over time, they could do that, whether it's in crypto or otherwise, or they could find some other ways to make money. And basically, they're wealthy. Good for them. Congratulations. They won the money game. Right? For everybody else who doesn't have 100 Bitcoin or more in a wallet, well, you only have 3% of the Bitcoin that's ever been mined. And the remaining 6%, like I said in the last video, you're not going to get it. You're going to get very little of it. The only way you're going to get it is if you buy it in whatever amounts you can afford, which is probably not 100 Bitcoins or more, or you're going to trade for it, right? So what to do when you realize that the number one cryptocurrency is no longer available? What can you do? Like, sure, it's available a little bit here and there, but it's not really available in terms of using it as a means to build a significant portfolio in the future, right? Like, sure, it could be enough. If you have even a small amount of it, it could be enough to, be okay at some point in the future. Maybe you have 0.1%, 0.1 Bitcoin or something, and maybe in 10 years that'll be worth something. I mean, it's worth something now, but it'll be worth enough for, who knows, a year's salary or maybe more, in case it's your safety net or something like that. In another 10 years, that could be the case, but it's not going to be your fortune, and you probably will never have hundreds of thousands of Bitcoins if you don't already have at least tens of thousands now, and many tens of thousands, so that you're approaching the 100,000 mark quickly. And the reason I say that is because, again, the vast overwhelming majority of the Bitcoin is already in the hands of the whales. So what do you do if you still want to amass a crypto fortune, but you realize it's not going to be through owning a whole lot of Bitcoins? Well, the answer is altcoins, right? Whether you're buying into Ethereum or Solana or Litecoin or BNB or Tron or EOS or what a Cardano, Monero, whatever your particular flavor is, Zcash, it doesn't matter. Whatever you like. There are literally millions of crypto assets now, tokens, coins, whatever. And of course, the vast majority of them are just garbage. But some of them are not so much garbage. In fact, some of them are quite good. As I've said many times, I like Litecoin. Sure, Litecoin is a lot less pricey than Bitcoin. Well, if you don't have a lot of coin, and you don't have a lot of money, that's a great way to get an extremely strong cryptocurrency that is effectively the silver to Bitcoin's gold. There's only 4 times as many coins as there are, 4 times as many Litecoin as there are Bitcoin. Hey. And so you can easily stack some Litecoin for far more of a good deal than you can stack Bitcoin, in the sense of you can get a Bitcoin for $60,000 or whatever the price is right now, or you can get a Litecoin for like under $100. And again, there's only 4 times as many Litecoin as there are Bitcoin, right? So there are only 82 million Litecoin that can ever be mined. So, and it has faster transaction speeds than Bitcoin. Really, the only difference is the size of the network. Well, guess what's going to happen to the Litecoin network when all of a sudden people realize, hang on, Litecoin has the same tech as Bitcoin effectively. In fact, it usually runs that technology first, which means it's on the bleeding edge, which means we know what's going to happen first with Litecoin. Yes, there's a slight added risk if something goes wrong, but it's not like there aren't good developers who can maintain that and fix it if necessary. And what's going to happen with Litecoin when people realize, damn, I really can't stack any Bitcoin anymore, but I can still stack Litecoin? What do you think is going to happen? The demand is going to go through the roof because the tech is just as good. It's the same code, right? It effectively is, like I said, the kid brother of Bitcoin. It was developed to be that on purpose. And so it is just as reliable in many ways technologically as Bitcoin. And the price is so much cheaper that people can still stack a nice size of them. And when the price on that goes through the roof, which it probably will, right? It might not ever get anywhere close to the price of Bitcoin. It will always be a smaller percentage, but it will come closer in proportion than what it is now, okay? If there's only 4 times as many Litecoins as there are Bitcoins, then theoretically, it could be a quarter of the price and have the same market value. And it is entirely possible that that could happen. All you need is more nodes holding it, maintaining it, right? So that's just an example of one, and it is still a decentralized cryptocurrency, right? But don't kid yourself. Don't think that the silver of the cryptos is not going to be also bought up by whales and banks and governments, right? Once they decide, okay, that's our next target. At the moment, they have their eyes more on Ethereum, which is why Ethereum got the ETF after Bitcoin. But don't think that Litecoin won't be one of the ones that eventually gets its own ETF. And don't think that Solana won't get one. It already got one from Brazil. So, from the country of Brazil. So, it is certainly very likely that we're going to see altcoins pop off like crazy in the coming years, especially as people realize, wow, we don't have access to Bitcoin anymore in any great quantity. And our only choice now, unless we're shopping for Satoshis, is to be buying altcoins that we can actually afford and returns. Tip for you, have it if you don't already know about it. And as always,